नमस्कार दोस्तों. Recently UPSC has announced its mains result, and many of you have messaged me that sir, we have not qualified the mains, so how we should plan our next few months, because dedicated prelims preparation is still some time away. Dear students, this period is very important, because that is the only time that you are getting before prelims to consolidate your mains preparation, because between prelims and mains this year time is already very less. So how we should go about this preparation, let us understand through this video. So the first thing we need to understand before we proceed, that we need to look at this result from the glass full perspective. See, there is some positive out of it, that we are getting time to consolidate our mains preparation, because clearly our mains preparation is not up to there. Even if you were to get interview call just at the cutoff marks, then I think that result will be I think worse than this result, because the chances of getting into the list will be quite dim. And also you will be preparing for interview only all the time, because that's what people who get interview call, that's what they do. They keep on preparing for the interview. It is very difficult to focus on other aspects of the preparation. And then what really happens, then you start preparing for interview, you give your interview, then you are quite hopeful about the final result also. And then there is some time that goes there also. And when the result comes out, because out of the 3000 students who are giving their interview, only 1000 will be qualifying in the list. And out of the 1000 only, barring IAS or few other services, people will be writing the exam again only. So it will be very difficult for them to come out of that and start preparing for prelims, because that is the only time that is remaining between the final result and the prelims. So they will start then getting the prelims, and then they will be giving the mains examination at the same level of mains preparation. So if your preparation is not that good with respect to mains, then I guess this is a time that you should look at this as an opportunity to consolidate your mains preparation, because next year time between prelims and mains, as I said earlier also, is quite less. So we need to look at this result from that perspective. So just make the most of it whatever time you are remaining. But how do we do it? There's a famous quote from Socrates, that an unexamined life is not worth living. Similarly, my dear students, an unexamined attempt is worthless. You cannot just hope for different result if you are doing the same thing again and again. In English there is saying that if you change nothing, nothing will change. So we need to understand, we need to examine that what went wrong. And when you are doing that, you must do that with utmost honesty, utmost humility, utmost sincerity. This exercise should not be for the sake of exercise. Just sit with your mains paper and think that what has gone wrong, as per you, what has gone wrong, and you must think it subject wise, what went wrong in GS paper 1, GS paper 2, GS paper 3, 4, optional, everything, essay, every subject, which part of the exam actually went worse than the other part. So that is the kind of analysis you have to do. You have to identify the targeted areas. Yes, in this optional, this unit is something that I am lacking. In paper 2, perhaps polity and governance is something I am lacking. Perhaps in GS paper 1, society is something that I am not writing good answers from. So that is how you need to examine. You need to go into depth. You need to go through your PYQs, whatever you have done so far. Okay, and after that you must analyze that the gap that is there, whether it is from the content perspective, that are you writing generic answers, because what really happened, many of you will be writing generic answers only. You are not doing any sort of value additions, data, case studies, analysis, that is, and dimensions. That is how you are lacking. You are not no adding any value to the answer, and that is a difference between 40 marks and 60 marks. 20-25 marks of difference will come if you are not doing your value addition. So, and that value addition comes from content only, because that is how you need to prepare. You need to prepare case studies, examples, data, ranking, indexes. Everything should be there ready beforehand, before you start writing your mains examination. So is it something that you are lacking, that value addition you are not doing, or some topics are just weak by itself, you do not have enough notes on them, you have not covered them thoroughly because there are paucity of time, because of so many factors. So that is how you should examine your previous attempt, that whether content wise are you having sufficient notes on the topic. Sufficient notes, you need to understand the sufficiency part also, because because this is very subjective. Sufficiency will come from PYQ analysis. If you are able to solve most of the question from that area, then that topic is sufficient, that notes is sufficient. Okay, that is how you should look at sufficiency, because there is nothing called best notes. Because if you are start changing that, if you start collecting notes only, you will become notes collector only rather than collector. So that is the point, that you should look at the notes perspective from that PYQs, are you able to handle them very clearly, are you able to understand the things behind that. So that much clarity is there, then your notes are perhaps sufficient. Okay, and that is how you should just go through every part of the syllabus, all the GS paper and essay paper, optional paper, and the value addition part, that you should look at it very specifically, that how good your notes are, whether it is containing any value addition or not. So that is something, if you have not done, you can do it now. Okay, and then you have to analyze whether you are not able to do that well because of lack of revision. Because if lack of revision is the problem, then dear students, please understand that revision requires, you cannot revise bulky notes quite number of times. That is what you must understand, because revision requires that your note should be crisp. You must have some keywords, some it should be crisp. You cannot revise a 400 page of book every time, every time there is a mains examination. So that is what you need to understand, that value addition, after value addition, the revision holds important key. And for revision, it is important that you have crisp note. By crisp note, I mean that there should be keywords, there should be some form of a diagram, so that you can just have a broad overview, so that you can just revise everything in perhaps 5 minutes, 6 minutes, a page, I'm saying. Okay, so very very quickly you should be able to revise the notes. So revision holds key, and just understand whether you are not able to recall the content that you have already studied while you were writing the mains answer. So if that is the problem, then probably you need to work on consolidation of your notes. You need to work on making your notes more crisp, so that you can revise them quite early. Then answer writing skill is something that you should look at, because what really happened when you are solving this paper, answer writing skills, it demands a lot, because this year paper was really tough. So answer writing skill will help you in terms of opening up the dimension, structuring the question, whether you are missing any part of the question or not. Okay, whether you are generating depth in your answers or not. So if I'm talking about ethics, then whether you are able to do the interlinkages between the theoretical arts aspects and the practical aspect. This year a lot many questions were there from current affair perspective, so whether you are able to apply the theoretical knowledge in that domain as well. So answer writing skills is all about that, and this skill requires time to master, because it does not come one day. Because content you can prepare one fine day, it is done, internal security is done, one fine day emotional intelligence is done, you are having notes, you are having value addition, and so you can just be very sure of it, that now I will be able to answer every question. So that is the beauty of content, that you can be very much sure of it. But answer writing skill, it takes time. It takes time to build that kind of a skill, that you are writing answers from instinct, because in actual examination you get only 7 minutes to write a 10 marker question. You don't really have time to think. So your answer should flow from your instinct. That's how much you should have practiced while you are preparing for this examination, because there is no time to think. As soon as you are looking at the question, you should be able to just divide that into multiple parts. These are different parts I will be addressing, and there are different dimensions that I will be giving. So all that should be ready, and that is a game of answer writing skill. So please you have to understand that also, that you identify that whether this is where you are lacking. And then time management, because that is another issue. 250 marks, people are leaving 50 marks each of the GS paper, and that will kill them like anything. So whether it was because of poor time management. So the point is that this examination of your attempt, this examination of your mains paper, it must be in quite detail. It should not be a just routine exercise. We will see. Ethics we should do, GS we should do. It should be much more specific. This part in ethics, this part in optional, this part in GS paper 1, this part in. The more specific you get, the more is the likelihood of completing or strengthening your weaknesses. So another important thing is that how we should prioritize, because you see there are so many things and there is so little time. Because let's say from February you are starting your prelims preparation, or whatever makes you comfortable, January and February and March first week, that is up to you. You decide that when you are starting your prelims preparation. So when you have decided a cutoff date for yourself, then you have around 1.5 month 2 month, depending upon when you are starting a prelims preparation, and you cannot do all the things. Even if you have identified 5-6 mistakes that are there, perhaps you cannot improve on all those 5-6 areas, in the coming 1 or 1.5 month that is there for your mains preparation. So dear students, you should prioritize. Okay, you should prioritize. This is what I will do now, this is what I will do after prelims. Okay, because this principle is very important. 80% of the result will come from 20% of the things, because that's how you can identify certain things which are more important, you identify certain things in which you are not that confident. So perhaps this is what you should do. So optional is something that you should prioritize, because it takes time to prepare optional requires sort of specialization, and that you cannot do between prelims and mains. So across all the papers, optional you should prioritize right now. I will say forget ethics, forget essay, forget GS, forget everything. If optional is not done, it will be very very difficult to master that between prelims and mains. Everything else can be mastered between prelims and mains. Okay, but optional is something that you must prepare it now. So that should be your number one priority. You're studying for 10 hours, maybe give 6 hours to optional only. That's how important optional is. So specialization is required in this paper, so that is where you should spend your time. Okay, and when you are doing that, as I told you earlier, you must identify which parts of the syllabus is something that you would like to work, whether unit 1, unit 2, section B of paper 1, something like that. That is how you need to look. You need to be very specific that this is the part I need to work upon. Similarly, the second important thing in my opinion is ethics and essay, because they hold lot of lot of importance in terms of a final score. The range of marks is quite huge. 30 to 40 marks jump is there. Talk about Ash Srivastava, you got 40 marks jump nearly in ethics paper. Khushali Solongi 36 marks. So that's how they can contribute to their final score. So that's how you should prioritize them. When you're talking about ethics, just look whether you have conceptual clarity or not, whether you have notes prepared or not, whether you have done sufficient, whether you have sufficient understanding of the PYQs or not. So that is how you should prepare this subject. The conceptual clarity is absolutely necessary, because many of you ask me, sir, notes are prepared, still we are not getting marks. See, notes especially for ethics you can get for 100 rupees in the market. Okay, so everyone can have notes, but it is not about notes, because the questions in ethics are abstract in nature. The quotation based questions and the generic questions that are there, you need to apply. They will not ask you directly what are the determinants of the ethics. They will ask you, how context of just and unjust is changing, and then you need to talk about the determinants of ethics in terms of dynamic factors, and how things can be relative, ethical standards can be relative or absolute. So that is what you need to apply. You need to apply what you have already learned. So you will be able to apply what you have already learned only when you have conceptual clarity. So that is what you should build right now. Okay, so that is what I will advise with respect to ethics. Then in essay you should focus on content, because there is not so much time to prepare for essay. Not that many essays you can write. Perhaps if you can write, please write. Okay, but I guess if you are doing ethics, optional, so many things, writing essays become difficult. So what you can do for essay at this point of time is preparing content. Okay, that you gather some good anecdotes that are a bit unique with respect to different themes that UPSC has asked, that you go through PYQs, understand what can be the unique anecdotes that you can write there, unique conclusion that you can write there, because UPSC will keep on repeating the themes, one after the other. So perhaps you can prepare a repository of that content at this point of time, and maybe practice essays after prelims. So that is what you can do for essay. Similarly, polity governance in paper 2 IR, not that many questions come from that topic, so you can leave perhaps that to after prelims also. And also it is a current affair oriented topic, so you can do that after prelims also. But polity governance, social justice is something that is very important. So that is, if paper 2 is weak, then perhaps this is the part you should prioritize than other part. And paper 3 economy is something that is very important. So many questions come from it, and it requires a lot of time also to prepare, so that you can prioritize technology, environment, and everything. You can prepare them after prelims. So they are very small topics. Also you will be preparing technology and everything for prelims also, so that will come handy after some point of time. Environment also will be preparing for prelims. you can use that content in your mains examination as well. So Indian economy from mains perspective is something that you should do now, and perhaps technology, disaster management, everything small topic you can do after prelims. If you still get time, then society paper 1 people neglect it, and UPSC is asking so many questions from this section. Okay, so I will ask you to prioritize society also. Prepare notes, prepare good facts, just learn how to open up the dimensions, have those frameworks ready, so that so that you can prepare that, you can, because paper 1 lot many questions come from the society. It becomes difficult to fetch marks from this topic, or questions are very general in nature. Everyone is writing everything, everyone is feeling that they are able to write attempt the questions, because questions are that generic in nature. But then to get a satisfaction that yes, you have written something, and then you to get the real marks, they are two different things. So society is something that you should prioritize, and then if you still have time, probably internal security. Okay, because it's a smaller topic, you can do it after prelims also, but if you have time, you do it now. So the point is, if all the things are there in your checklist, then do it one by one. Okay, optional simultaneously, and then after that GS, one by one you do it. Okay, like 6 hours you are giving for optional, then 4 hours for ethics daily till you get completion on ethics. Then perhaps you can move to essay, you can move to polity governance. The point is, you should not try to do everything in this 1.5 month, because if you try to do that, you will not be able to do all the things. You understand that, because if you will be overwhelmed by the so many things that are pending, and then you will be frustrated, and then you will switch to prelims preparation only, because that's how frustrated you will feel. Don't do it. Prioritize and then work on that. No, time between prelims and mains is not that less also that you cannot do anything. If you have prepared your optional thoroughly, if you have prepared at least most of these part, then whatever is remaining, you can prepare that between prelims and mains. But the thing is, you must prepare at least some part of it now only. You cannot leave everything after prelims, and also you cannot do everything before prelims. That is also, you must understand, the limitation is there. Okay, just make it very specific. These are the 3 areas that I will work, that is the 4 area I will work, and I will finish that. Okay, just make it very specific, and you will be happy, I'm telling you, before you start your prelims preparation. Another thing is, you must be very specific when you are noting this thing, that this part in optional, this part in essay, this part of PYQ perhaps I have not covered. So this is how you must get specific, because what gets measured gets done. So you must be very specific. The more specific you get, the more specific goal you set, the more are the chances that you will be completing those goals. And for that, I will recommend you that you make a action plan. That when you are starting your prelims, whether you have sufficient notes. If not, then prepare sufficient notes, get notes from the coaching institutes, do your own value addition. Okay, that is how you can do. Because if you start preparing notes on your own from the beginning, then it will take a lot of time. You should outsource that to the people who are doing that for you, and you should use that time in terms of revising that, memorizing that, applying that, understanding that, solving PYQ, something that you should do. Okay, notes making, you should outsource it to as far as possible. And then short notes is very very important, because it actually decides a lot in terms of your revision efficiency, how frequently you are able to revise, how precisely you are able to revise, how efficient you are in terms of revision. So short notes is something that is very important. But the point is, you should not make short notes after your first reading or even second reading, because if you are doing that, you will be noting everything, because for you, everything will look important, and your short notes will be your notes only. Okay, so short notes you should prepare when you are very very thorough with the topics. Okay, I mean, you can count the things on your fingers, what is asked from these topics in terms of PYQs and everything. Then only you should prepare the short notes. This is very very important, because lot of you commit this mistake, that start preparing short notes in the beginning only. Don't do it. Okay, I'm sure at some, you have given mains, so a lot of the content you will have, you would have prepared in that fashion, that you are very confident in those topics. So prepare short notes for those topics. Okay, you should not prepare the short notes on the topics in which you are weak at this point of time, because you will be writing everything in the short notes then. But some topics, you should have some strength, because that is what I can expect from you. So in the topics in which you feel that you know it thoroughly, that on your fingertips, perhaps on them, you can prepare the short notes, because the short notes are like, once you have written the keywords, you should be able to recall from the keywords. And if something is very weak, something that you have done very recently, first revision or second revision only, it will be very difficult for you to recall just by looking at keywords, and then you will be writing everything in the short notes. So short notes will not be actually short notes, they will be longer notes only. So that is what you should do in terms of short notes, just the things that you have prepared so well, multiple revision have been done, you are very thorough, prepare short notes on those topics, and you can prepare the short notes for the rest of the topics after prelims also. Okay, that is what I mean. If you are having short notes for 60 or 70% of the syllabus, that is also fine. You need not have short notes for every topic. 60-70% syllabus is fine. That will add lot of value to your revision efficiency. And make timelines. With respect to units of optional, ethics, essay, whatever you are doing, make timelines, because if you are not having timelines, you will be wasting all that time. By timelines, you will get an idea that how much time you should spend on which topic, and so that you are not overdoing it, so that you are not stretching it. And if you are wasting time in your parties, Christmas parties, so many parties are there, then you should know what you are missing out. Okay, so make timelines, be specific, don't try to aim all the things, because you will not be able to do all the things. You are human only. Just prioritize, and some part can be done after prelims, but don't have this attitude that we will do it all after prelims, because if you are having that attitude, it will be very very difficult. Many of you think that jo hoga dekha jayega, fir jo hoga nahi dekha jayega, because time between prelims and mains is actually very less. So not everything you can prepare after prelims. So that is what my advice will be, and I will just request you can scan this QR code and join my Telegram channel. I'll keep on posting about various aspects of this preparation, and there we can connect, and do so many things together. Okay, so please join my Telegram channel, and that will be all from today's videos. Please let me know in comments on which topics I should make further videos, and I hope it is helpful to you. Just make a plan and get it done. Okay, my best wishes. Thank you very much.